Hey, welcome to Moving to Georgia, our live stream that we do every single Wednesday. And today we are talking about what is predicted to happen during the second half of the year. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts and what you think is going to happen during the second half of the year, kind of compared to what you thought the year was going to be, and is it shaping up to be how we thought it was going to be or how you thought it was going to be. So I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you're joining us live on the live stream tonight, I would love to know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see who we get watching and where you're watching from, and if we have any countries that are joining us tonight. Countries, it's not like you represent the country, but you know what I mean. It's cool to see if we have anybody from any other countries. If y'all follow me on social media, I'm on Instagram at Sarah Maslowski Realtor, and I recently posted last night. I played pickleball for the very first time, and y'all, I am so impressed with these older folks that play pickleball because it is intense and it's really hard. And it was way more of a workout than what I thought it was going to be. It was with two people, or we were playing in doubles. I guess that's what you call it. And so much fun. So I get the appeal and I get why people love it. I can't wait to go play again. But man, it's a lot. And I'm also trying to figure out, like, when in the heck do I have time to take up this new hobby? But I'm going to find a way because it was so much fun. So if you're just joining us, let me know where you're watching from. We've got Jeff Poyer watching us from Connecticut. Welcome. We don't get a whole lot of people from Connecticut. Surprisingly, though, a lot of other northern states like New Jersey and New York, but not very many people from Connecticut. So thanks for joining us and watching. We've got AJ. Hi. Thanks for watching, AJ. So have any of y'all ever played pickleball? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments. I know a lot of retirees have played and it's catching on. I say catching on. I sound really old because it was catching on a couple years ago, 5 years ago, and now it's really caught on. So enough about pickleball, though. Y'all are not joining me to talk about pickleball. You're joining me to talk about the real estate market and what's happening here in Georgia. So the big question is, I'm sure on everyone's mind, is that why in the heck haven't home prices fallen? We heard the headlines at the beginning of the year that the market was going to fall and you should just wait and you should see what was going to happen and hold off because interest rates were rising and home prices had to come down, right? What goes up must come down. And we had crazy growth in 2020, 2021. Kind of those unicorn years is what we're now referring them to in the real estate market. And then interest rates went really high to tamp down inflation. So the expectation is that, of course, home prices had to fall a little bit because buyers were now incurring much higher expenses to buy a house, and that was going to put downward pressure on home prices. Well, that quite has not happened here as people thought it was going to happen. We've got Michael joining us from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, looking in the Dahlonega area. That is definitely a very gorgeous area. I would love to help you there. And we have Bombshell Kitchen watching us from Florida. So we just helped a great client close on their home from Florida yesterday, and a client from New York close on their home today. And so we get a lot of people from Florida. I know a lot of people are moving to Florida, but we here in Georgia get a lot of people from Florida escaping the hot weather. So I think it's interesting. I wonder how many of the people that are moving to Florida don't quite realize what they're in store for, and that will then be moving to other states in the future, or maybe they'll be happy. Thank you for joining us and watching. So going back to, like, why haven't home prices fallen? Well, a large part of that has to do with the lack of inventory in the market. So I'm going to share with you an article that was published in the Atlanta Business Chronicle. And the title of this article is that home buyers face supply and pricing challenges. What can unlock the housing market's tight inventory? So the important thing that you need to know is that home prices have not fallen because there are not very many homes for sale. If we take out the unicorn years, and we even go back to 2019, there's drastically less homes for sale on the market than what there should be. And it kind of makes sense if you think about it. We're not getting those people locally that would normally sell their house. So someone's had a baby, or um, maybe they get a job promotion and they're now making a little bit more money and they want a little bit of a nicer house. Typically, we would have people, those would be life events or things that would cause someone to want to sell their house and move across town. Or maybe they would just want a bigger backyard because now they have pets or now they have kids. Those local moves are not happening. And the reason they're not happening is because so many people have such great interest rates. Like 90% of homeowners have an interest rate below 6%. And interest rates right now are around the upper sixes, 7%. That's drastically different than what a lot of people have. Most people have an interest rate less than 4%. So people are really locked into these really low interest rates. And even though they have a lot of equity in their house and they may make a lot of money, home prices are still high. And so a lot of that gain gets eaten up by how much homes are now, and couple that with what they're going to have to pay in increased mortgage rates. Well, you get the point. And they're just saying, we're just going to stay here for a while and ride this out, or we'll make do, or we'll add something onto our house, or, landscape the backyard better. All those kind of things. People are just choosing to stay in place rather than make those moves. So this article goes in to say that it's not the housing market of 2021. So thank goodness, right? We're not seeing like 20% home price appreciations, and more buyers were actively looking for homes. That was buoyed by record low interest rates. And, people were wanting to take advantage of that. Obviously, we have interest rates hovering around 7% today instead of 3%. And this is defined by homeowners who locked in low rates 2 years ago, and they have less incentive to sell. They're just not simply selling their house. Lawrence Yun, the chief economist at the National Association of Realtors, said that for sale housing inventory is essentially half of what it was in 2019. So half of the available homes, we have half as many homes for sale right now as we did going back prior to 2019. That's a lot less houses for sale. And when you have something that everyone wants and you're a seller and there's not very many of those for sale, well, that gives you the ability to still have the prices that you want on the house. A recent analysis by Redfin found that roughly 14 out of every 1,000 homes nationwide changed hands. That's really low sales. And that this is leading to 28% fewer homes to choose from than they did before the pandemic. So interesting to note here, and I want you to remember this number. It says home sales dropped by 19% in a year-over-year basis in June, according to the National Association of Realtor data. And this next point right here, it says, but about 1/3 of homes sold right now are selling for higher than list price. So we have 20% less home sales, and 30% of these homes that are selling for above asking price. So this is not saying that home values have dropped 20% or demand is 20% less. There's just simply not as many homes for sale as there is today as there was last year, which translates into lower sales. But remember that 20%, because we're going to come back to that. And I'm going to show you something locally, a statistic that ties into that. It goes on to say, any buyer would say it's difficult to purchase because there are other buyers competing for the same property. We have an interesting dynamic where sales are lower, yet it's very difficult time to realize their completion on their home sale. Yet it's a very difficult time to realize their completion on their home sale. I don't know if I quite understand. Sales are lower. Okay. So let's take a look at that, where home sales have dropped 20% on a year-over-year basis. And let's take a look at what's happening in the Metro Atlanta market, because I'm thinking that if you're watching me and you're thinking about moving to Georgia, chances are you're thinking about making a move to the Metro Atlanta area. So let me jump back over to my screen. And of course, if you're just joining us, I would love to know where you're watching us from. And as we're talking, if you have any questions at all about making a move, the real estate market, anything at all, just let me know in the comments below, and we'll make sure that we answer that or have a really great discussion around it. So I am going to share with you data from the Atlanta metro market. So they say that home sales were down 20% year over year. Now, this data that I'm showing you on the screen covers kind of like the three big areas that we cover. So Hall County is Gainesville, Georgia area. Forsyth County encompasses Cumming and a little bit of Alpharetta. And then we have Gwinnett County, which is one of the most populated counties in Georgia. You've got Beaufort, Suwannee, Sugar Hill, Duluth, all kinds of towns in Gwinnett County. So if you look at Gwinnett County, home sales were down 19.2% year over year. Forsyth County, they were down 30% year over year, and Hall County is only down 10%. So let's go look at, so we know the sales are down, but let's look at how many homes for sale compared to last year. Well, compared to last year, we have 20% less homes for sale in Gwinnett, 32% less homes for sale in Forsyth County, and 12% less homes for sale in Hall County. So that equally equates to how many homes are actually selling. The amount of homes for sale are down 12% in Hall County. The amount of homes that actually sold down 10%. So they all line up. So the point that I want you to take away from this is that the headlines that you see when it says that home sales are down across the country, they're down because there's not any houses for sale. So here locally in the Metro Atlanta market, that data is lining up perfectly. The amount of homes that are available for sale compared to last year are down, which then means there's less homes available to be bought, which that data is also down. So because there's less houses for sale, that means home prices have not come down like we want them to, or that we would hope to as a buyer. So what does that mean for you as a buyer? It means that unless something drastic happens in the real estate market, like we go to war or something crazy happens in the economy that we haven't already talked about, there is nothing that's going to be bringing interest rates down or home prices down in the near future. And when I say near future, I'm talking about years. So, my takeaway for you as a buyer is that if you are sitting there and you're thinking, okay, I'm thinking about making this move. When should we plan it? When should we time it? Maybe I'm going to sit over here on the sidelines and wait for home prices to come down. Well, hopefully now you have the data and information to kind of know those home prices are not coming down like you would want to. So then you can take that information and plan accordingly, or you can maybe consider a different area that might be a little bit more affordable for you if you're feeling like you're being priced out of a market that you're currently looking in. So let's take a closer look at what the actual home sales are doing and what the prices are doing in each of these counties. So sales price, let's take a look at that. Surprisingly, Gwinnett County and Forsyth County, compared to last year, they're down just a little bit. The average sale or the median sales price is down 2.3% in Gwinnett County and 3.8% in Forsyth County. Hall County, that's the Gainesville area, that saw an increase of 3.6%. And surprisingly, a Bankrate article just came out maybe it's been about a month and a half ago now. But it named Gainesville as one of the hottest housing market in the entire country. And it was a little bit hard for me to believe that. But if we kind of compare this data here locally, we're seeing that the Gainesville area is holding very steady. Now, if you're thinking in your head, but wait, should I not buy in Gwinnett County or should I not buy in Forsyth County? The answer to that is absolutely no. Those are still fantastic areas to buy in. And this doesn't necessarily mean that home values have decreased by those percentages. It just means that the average sales price, the median sales price, is a little bit down comparatively to year over year. But you see this graphic chart data. Home sales are pretty much on par with what they were last year, and we haven't seen like any drastic changes. And this is a good thing, right? We don't want to see like huge spikes in this graph for home prices because one, that's unaffordable and it's unsustainable. And we're just going back to a normal home price appreciation when it comes to home prices in the area. Now, this was an interesting stat, days on market. So if you'll see here, This little number underneath the county gives you how many days it takes for the house to be on the market before it sells. So in Hall County, it's taking 13 days. So Gainesville area, 13 days on average, 6 days on average incoming for a house to get a contract on it, and 9 days in Gwinnett County. So that's going to be Beaufort and Swanee and some parts of Lawrenceville, Duluth. So those are relatively very quick time on the market if you're a seller, which means that if you're a buyer in this market, you're going to have to make a decision fairly quickly. The best houses are still selling quickly. And like we saw in that article, 30% of houses nationwide are receiving multiple offers. That's still happening here locally as well. So let's take a look at that percentage of original list price. So this means that if a home is listed for $500,000, does it actually sell for $500,000, or do they eventually end up going under contract for a little bit less? Well, in Hall County in the Gainesville area, those homes are selling for about 98% of list price on average. So you can get 2% discount there on average. Forsyth County, 100% of list price on average, and Gwinnett, 100% of list price. So there's not a whole lot of negotiation room for houses that just come on the market in Gwinnett and Forsyth County. That is good to know. And so if you're of the expectation that you have a house that's just hit the market and you're going to offer $10,000 less, likely you are going to be beat out by another offer. And that is according to the data of what we're seeing here on the market. So I'm curious, if you're watching us live here on the live stream, how does this data kind of compare of what's happening in your local market? And is this aligning up with what you thought was going to happen in the real estate market? I would love to know your thoughts in the comments. In the comment section, I'd love to kind of know how this is lining up with what you're seeing locally, where you are, and is this meeting your expectations of what we thought was going to happen in the real estate market? I have to be honest, if you go back to live streams, I would say maybe go back to January or February. One of the things that we thought would happen for sure by now this year is that mortgage rates would have come down a little bit more. And so a surprising thing that has happened is that as we're approaching the third and fourth quarter, we kept hearing from economists and experts that, third and fourth quarter interest rates are going to be down in the 5s, maybe low 6s. No one really predicted that we're going to be here at the 7s. And so that's been a little bit of a challenge because, I thought that, if you could wait till the third or fourth quarter, you might be in a little bit better buying position. If the fear, though, what's going to happen is that if inventory stayed really, really low, as it is doing right now, if interest rates fell, if they fall, more buyers will be like, now's the perfect time to buy. And then instead of having a third of the houses have multiple offer situations, you're going to have even more houses have multiple offer situations, which puts even more upward pressure on prices. So that is definitely something to keep in mind if you are thinking about potentially waiting for interest rates to fall. So based upon the information that we have now, the advice that I'm giving to clients is that if you have the ability to buy now, I still think it's a really good idea because if and when interest rates do come down a little bit, you always have the option of refinancing into those lower rates. What you're not going to have the option of is to go back and pay something different for the price of your house. So although there's some competition in the market right now, and a third of the houses are experiencing multiple offer situations, we're not having like crazy multiple offer situations. And I do believe that is what's going to happen when interest rates come down a little bit less, because now people are going to be like, it's more affordable now to go buy a home. And then home prices are just going to have more upward pressure and you're going to pay more. So what you're saving in interest rate is getting completely negated by what that new purchase price is going to be. So that is something to keep in mind as you are going out and thinking about making your future plans for what you're going to do if you're considering making a move. This person asked, can I recommend a realtor in the Savannah area? Yes, I would love to put you in connection with them. I have a fantastic person that takes really, really great care of clients that reach out to me. And so many people have used this really great realtor. So if you will send me an email or you can text me, my number is directly below this video, and I will definitely make sure that you get connected with my really great agent partner down there in Savannah. So if you have questions about the housing market, please make sure you ask them below. We'll be happy to answer those. Or if you have questions about making a move or selling a house, anything that you want to know or talk about, that's what we're here for, to answer your questions live and walk you through it. Yeah, we had an opportunity to help a client close today on a house from New York. And I was a little bit surprised that the only reason that they were living or choosing to move here was because of these videos. They found me on YouTube, which, look, I have an opportunity to work with a lot of y'all, and I'm so excited and makes me really, really happy. And that's the purpose of making these videos, right? We want to help you and guide you in your decision making of where to live and what are the differences between the towns. But every now and then we get someone that knew nothing about the area, and the only reason they decided that they wanted to move here or had an interest in moving here was because of the video. And that is really, really cool. So they knew that they wanted to get out of the north, but they just weren't quite sure where. And so they started doing research, and the metro Atlanta, Gainesville area wasn't even on their radar until they came across the videos. So I feel like that is super special. So I'd love to know if that's you. If you're thinking about making a move, let me know. Or if you are just discovering this area because of the videos, that would be cool to know. So if you have any questions about making a move, please make sure that you ask them below. So one piece of news headline that came out today, if you've been following the news, is that the Fed met, and Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, announced that they were increasing interest rates. And sometimes I have a lot of people that reach out after that saying, hey, what is this going to do to my mortgage? And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit. So let me pull up, there's a great CBS article that addressed this. All right, so this says the Fed raised interest rates again. Here's what to expect for mortgages. So today, earlier, the Federal Reserve paused interest rate hikes in June after 15 months of increases. And so they paused it in June. They took a look at the inflation data that came back in, and they said, we think we need to kick this back into high gear and increase interest rates once again. So and just so you know, they're not raising mortgage interest rates. They're raising the federal funds target rate. And so that is now at a 22-year high of between 5.25% and 5.5%. And so what this means is that whenever banks have to borrow money, that is the interest rate they are charged from the Federal Reserve, not what you are charged. So it's more expensive for the banks to have access to money, which then trickles down and affects their ability to lend money and a whole host of other people that rely on, or companies and businesses that rely on this availability of credit. So the good news is that the Fed has also signaled that it's reaching the peak of the current interest rate hike cycle. So they're thinking, they made some announcements or some language wording that they feel like there's not going to be that many more interest rate hikes if they do continue to do this. And so that was kind of like welcome relief for the mortgage world, because it's important to note that although these are not directly tied, they do influence one another. So what does that mean for your mortgage rates? The good news is that there may be little effect on current mortgage rates. And a lot of industry experts are saying, in the mortgage world, they're saying, hey, we already knew and anticipated that the Fed was going to increase their Fed funds rate. So we've already calculated that into our pricing decisions on our interest rates. So them saying that they're doing another rate increase doesn't affect us because we've already priced that into what we're currently selling because we knew that was coming. So a senior wealth manager at Woodson Wealth Management said that that 25 basis points hike should not meaningfully impact mortgage rates. So the industry is not expecting interest rates to magically increase tomorrow based upon this news. This goes on to say that the Fed funds rate are not directly tied to the moves, but their influence. We talked about that. This did say, however, another Fed funds rate hike may cause mortgage rates to slightly increase. But the good news is that based upon language that was shared, the market is forward-looking and expectations are that the Fed will be done with increasing rates in the near future. So we're hoping that we're reaching a peak. So that is good news for anticipated mortgage rates. So maybe finally, towards the end of this year, we might start to see those interest rates come back down a little bit lower. Let's see, does it go on? It says what you can do if you're considering a mortgage today. Mortgage rates on the whole may be high today compared to what they were the past few years, but homebuyers can benefit by continuing their search now. We talked about this. I don't feel like you should wait. You definitely should get into a house today if you can. I still firmly believe, and a lot of industry experts believe, that it's going to be cheaper to do this today, even if mortgage interest rates fall in the near future. Home prices are just going to continue to go up. Bombshell Kitchen states that I'm looking to move to McDonough in January 2024. Girl, that is right around the corner. It is time for us to start planning for that move. How is a location for home buyers? And that is a really good question. So it really depends on what you are looking for in a town and the proximity that you want to other things. One of the great things about McDonough is that it is very close or not that far away from the Atlanta airport. So if you're someone that travels a lot, that is a great location. Another good thing about McDonough, you're on the south side of Atlanta. And so you don't have to deal with as much traffic as what you would kind of experience on the North Metro side of Atlanta. Definitely home prices are a little bit more affordable on the south side of Atlanta as well. Kind of the downsides of the McDonough area is that you don't have as many big towns, things to do, shopping areas, things like that you would kind of like on the North Metro side of Atlanta. So those are some pros and cons there, but we would love to connect you. I have a really, really great agent partner that takes care of all of our clients in McDonough. And she's fantastic, and I'd love to connect you with her. So now is the time for us to start planning that move. Bridge says, with interest rates not going down anytime soon, can we see demand softening? Also, do you plan doing another top 5 video for new construction communities or nothing exciting to be built? Oh, love that suggestion. I'm glad y'all like that video. No, there is still a lot of great new construction communities being built. And yes, we will follow that up with another video and get out there and film some more communities to show you. I don't believe the demand is going to soften. I don't have the slides available. Well, let's just take the available homes for sale. We are 20% lower homes for sale right now than we were prior to 2019. So if you think about 2019 was a good real estate market year. There was still a ton of home sales that happened, and inventory was 20% higher back in 2019 than what it is today. So we have more buyers right now that can't buy a house because there's 20% less homes for sale. So what we would need for the demand to soften would be for extremely high interest rates. And we kind of know that we're topping out and kind of hanging out around these high 6s, low 7s right now. And this is the new normal. So buyers over the past, almost a year, right? In October will be a year of when interest rates started to increase. Buyers are used to this now. They're like, okay, we know that we're not getting 3, 4, 5% interest rate. We know that we're going to have to pay 6% interest rate, 7% interest rate for a house. So yeah, let's go buy a house. And there's 20% less houses available for sale today than there was even prior to the pandemic. So what we would need for demand to soften or for home prices to come down is we need more houses to sell. We need more inventory, more sellers to say, hey, I'll sell my house. Hopefully, if interest rates come down enough, a lot of these buyers with 3 and 4% interest rates, the math might start making a little bit more sense for them to say, hey, you know what? Even though it might cost us a little bit more, it's worth it because we want a bigger house. We want a bigger yard. We want to be in that neighborhood. So yeah, we're going to sell our house. That's what we need to happen. We need more sellers to sell their current houses. So we have new construction builders are building a lot of houses right now, but it's still not nearly enough to even meet the demand that there is just overall in the economy. So, Bridge, I'm sure that was more than what you bargained for when you asked me that question, but we need more sellers to sell their house. Sellers are not selling their house until there's a good increase in interest rates. And you got to keep in mind, there's still a lot of people that are renting right now that want to buy, but they're just simply not even trying right now because of the interest rates. So I don't see home prices coming down or demand softening at all anytime soon. So it would take a lot higher interest rates for that demand to soften. And then maybe we might see home prices come down a little bit. So it is definitely a little bit of a conundrum, right? So I'm just curious, if you're watching, has interest rates paused your plans to move to a different location or changed your home buying plans? Or are you still planning on moving forward with making that purchase? And have you kind of come around that this is kind of like the new normal? I'm curious to see. We work with pretty much all of our clients that we work with are people that come from out of state and they relocate here. And I have to think that for some of y'all, over the past year with the increase in interest rates, it's definitely made it a little bit more expensive. And I'm sure that you may have kind of like hit the pause button on making that move or not making that move because of what's going on. So I'd love to know how that has impacted your plans. Hit the wrong button there. So if you have a question about the housing market or making a move, buying a house, selling a house, mortgages, anything that you need to know, let me know in the comments below and we will make sure that we get that question answered. Brent, thanks for joining us. You said that my wife and I are looking to retire and coming early in 2025. We really like Vickery. What are your thoughts on Vickery? Any chance you could do a future video on Vickery? Thank you. We actually just helped a client this week close on their home in Vickery. And I'm shocked that we haven't made a video on it because, y'all, this neighborhood looks like it came straight out of a Norman Rockwell painting, Southern Living magazine. It is gorgeous. So charming, so cute. So every single house in this community is architecturally different than the others. So I know a lot of y'all are saying, or kind of feel like, oh, I don't want to live in a neighborhood where everything's cookie cutter. Well, this is like as far as cookie cutter as you can get, because all of the homes have a ton of architectural detail, but also different. And that's created in the design of the community whenever the planners of the community built the neighborhood. It's really charming. All the houses are really close together, so you don't have much yard space there, but you do have really great kind of like mini parks in the neighborhood. And you can walk to restaurants in the neighborhood and hair salons. And it's really a golf cart community as well. And so there's an elementary school nearby that you can take the kids to school. And so yes, Brent, I will make you a video on that neighborhood. I love it. It's fantastic. It definitely comes with its own unique pros and cons. So I'll make sure to cover that as well. But we would love to help you find the perfect house in there. And that is definitely a neighborhood that homes hold their value really well. And it is definitely one of those unique very much sought after neighborhoods that a lot of people want to be in. The price reflects that, and your future home value will reflect that as well. So great question, and I will definitely make sure that we cover that, and hopefully we have an opportunity to work together. So thanks for that great question. All right, I want to share another article with you. Let's see here. Let me get it up for you. And this kind of goes back to Bridget's question. Let me go back and take this off. Okay. Bridge asks, like, when do we see demand softening? And so this article says, I'm going to pay for this website. How far do mortgage rates need to fall for homeowners to start selling their house? So we have an inventory problem. We need more people to sell. Says this mom of five, it tells a story of Marie, who has been seriously looking for a 3-bedroom home for the last 6 months. And she's hoping to rent her home in Washington and move roughly before the school year starts. Okay, we know that, right? Or we don't need to know that. Let's get to the good stuff. When can she get back into a house? Okay. Apologize for the dead air here. Okay, we already know this. We covered this. All right, it says, according to the Atlanta Fed, high rates and home prices across the nation have pushed the cost of homeownership sharply up. We know this, right? We've talked about this quite a bit. All right, the good news, let's get to this. Rates are expected to fall over the next few years, just not to the most recent low of 2.71% in December. I think we're all fairly educated enough to now know that we're not seeing those ultra low interest rates that happened because of the C word that happened in 2020 and 2021. Fannie Mae said it expects the 30-year mortgage rate to be below 6% at the end of 2024. So they're predicting it's going to take an entire year for the interest rates to fall a full percentage point. And so it says, while many home buyers may feel discouraged by that, experts say this will likely acclimatize. That's a word. Just meaning that people are going to get more comfortable with those interest rates. So what's a normal mortgage rate for buyers? Mortgage rates are generally between 4.75 to 5.25%. They think that that's a rate that would be helpful for home buyers, and that would be the rate that we would need to see an increase in inventory. So if Fannie Mae is predicting that it's going to take until the end of 2024 to get below 6%, and this person is saying that we need to get down to the low 5s to create an increase in inventory, we're still a long way away from that. It says recent research suggests that the 30-year falling to a magic rate of 5.5%. That's going to be enough to push more home buyers to purchase houses. But we need homes to sell. So, okay. Here's the magic answer to the headline. Don't y'all just love this whenever an article gives the headline and then you have to go dig deep into the content to get to the answer? All right. Okay. Sturdivant said that a fixed rate below 6.5% for a 30-year mortgage could tempt homeowners to start selling. And they believe that as the rates approach 6%, I think we're going to start to see new listing activity. There's not a whole lot of data or research in here, is there? Okay. So I agree with that as mortgage interest rates begin to fall, we are going to start to see more sellers become comfortable with this and be fed up with their house. If you look at headlines and articles, you see that a lot of sellers, it'll say something like, sellers are handcuffed to their house. They're stuck in their homes. Even though people have really great rates, there's still a lot of people that there's a happiness benefit that comes to being in a house as well. And sometimes you can't put a price on that. If you have a terrible neighbor, if you hate your neighborhood, if you hate your house, or it's way too small for your growing family, even if you have a really low interest rate, there's still going to be compelling enough reasons that are going to impact your day-to-day life that is going to say, like, cause a seller to say, like, hey, I don't mind paying a little bit more in my interest rate if it gets me the ability to get out of this house. And we're going to see more sellers be equipped with kind of being able to make that decision as they get down from these peak interest rates. All right. So I'm curious, if you have any questions about making a move, make sure you drop them below. I'll make sure to answer those before we wrap up the live stream here. If you're just joining us for the first time, I'm Sarah Maslowski, and I help people move to the metro Atlanta area of Georgia. And so if you're thinking about making a move, my contact information is directly below this video. You can send us an email, send us a text message, give us a call. We would love to help you. And if you haven't already liked and subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you do that. That way you'll get notified every time we go live. That is every single Wednesday, unless I'm traveling. And we put up new videos every single Sunday. So if you have an idea for a video and you're thinking, like, why hasn't she made a video about this? Just like my friend did a little bit ago. I want to call you Craig, but that wasn't your first name. My apologies. Brent suggested a video on the neighborhood vicary. Done. We will take care of that. And I love hearing your ideas for areas for us to cover or questions that you have that you want answered in a great video. And we would love to do that. So we greatly welcome your feedback and your comments. And so if you don't have any more questions about the real estate market this week or making a move, we will end it on that. And so I appreciate you joining us. And of course, a new video is dropping on Sunday, and we will see you back here next Wednesday, answering your questions and giving you more information about what's going on locally and what's happening in the real estate market. So thanks for joining us this evening, and I will see y'all next week.